Welcome to the Leading Life Podcast, the place where leadership meets real life. Here is where we talk about leading with intention, living with clarity, and getting better results for the people we serve every single day. If you're ready to grow, you're in the right place. Let's go. Right now on today's episode, how to stop shrinking your life. You are listening to the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk about what it takes to grow, lead, and live with purpose. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and each episode here is designed to give you simple, real-world tools to help you show up as your best self in work and in life. And I'm going to say the quiet parts out loud, no fluff, no listener traps, just actionable steps that you can take right now today. I started this podcast because I truly care about the people that work for us and the leaders who lead them. I'm here to share what I've learned from over 35 years of leadership coaching, mentoring, and motivating teams. And my examples and lessons are from real life, on the job, and from my growing pains. So let's lead our lives together. Here we go. Today's message is deeply personal, I think, for all of us, because every human being does this at some point in their life. They start to shrink. They shrink their dreams. They shrink their voice. They shrink their expectations. And all of us sometimes shrink what we believe is possible. And it's not because we're weak. It's because our brains are already wired for safety, not greatness. So this could probably be one of my most important episodes because I want you to know that it all started with me realizing how I had gone down a spiral myself with this. Like, I remember one morning I got up last year and I was making coffee and I was looking out the window at the sun rising, and I said to myself, I have been working and stretching myself so hard for everybody else's happiness and comfort that I forgot who I was and what I even wanted. I sat there for a minute like, where was I in life anymore? Like, it hit me that I had been playing way too small. So today's episode is about one powerful decision for you, and that is to stop shrinking your life and start expanding into who you were meant to be. I'm going to give you some really powerful questions toward the end of the episode as well that I want you to dig into, ask yourself, and really face yourself. So let's start with this. Why do we as humans shrink ourselves at all? Well, here's the neuroscience and the psychology. You are not born playing small. None of us are. A child doesn't shrink their voice. A child doesn't hide their dreams. A child believes anything is possible. So what happens? Well, the brain's safety system locks in, right? It's an alarm system that we have called the amygdala, and its job is to keep you safe, avoid danger, and prevent rejection. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't know the difference between, let's say, a tiger chasing you, or public speaking, or starting your own business, or leaving a job that's not good for you, chasing a dream, being vulnerable for love. To the amygdala, risk equals danger, change equals threat, growth equals unsafe. So what does the brain do? It tells you, hey, stay comfortable, don't stand out, be realistic, let's try this later. That voice feels logical, but it's actually fear wearing a suit of reason. Let me say that again. That voice inside your head telling you to be comfortable feels logical, but it is fear dressed up as reason. The second part to this is social conditioning. Psychology will show us that humans are deeply wired for belonging. Thousands of years ago, being rejected from the tribe meant death. So today, even small risks feel massive. So speaking your truth out loud, asking for more, living differently, pursuing your greatness. Because deep down your nervous system whispers, well, what if they don't accept me? I may not survive this. So we shrink to stay loved. We shrink to stay safe. We shrink to stay invisible. It's like my favorite quote from Jim Carrey, your desire to fit in will make you invisible to the world. The other part of this is learned helplessness. And that's a concept that where people start to experience repeated disappointment or failures in life, and they just eventually stop trying, even when success becomes possible. Not because they can't win, but because they believe they can't win. So they settle into smaller dreams, smaller confidence, smaller energy, and smaller lives. And they tell themselves, well, this is just how my life is. But it's not. It's conditioning, and conditioning can be broken. Let's talk about how this is costing all of us. Because shrinking feels safe in the short term, but it's very painful in the long term. Because inside every human being is a deep psychological need for growth and for meaning, more expression and contribution. When we suppress those, it starts to show up as low energy, quiet resentments, even like a midlife crisis, midlife regret, emotional numbness, loss of attraction in our relationships, and then feeling invisible in our own story. It's not a dramatic pain. It's just a slow fade. So let's talk about the turning point, because here's the beautiful truth from neuroscience. The brain can change. We've talked about that many times. And remember, that's called neuroplasticity. Your brain rewires based on repeated thoughts, repeated actions, and repeated courage. Meaning you can train yourself to expand instead of shrinking. Not overnight, but over time. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time to build new habits, but it's worth doing. You know, there's a story I keep thinking a lot about lately, and that's basically about a man who by every normal definition looked like his life was over. He was 65 years old. He was out of money, out of business, out of options. But most people at that point start to shrink quietly into the background. He didn't. He took the one thing he believed in and he started knocking on doors. Over 1,000 rejections came his way. And somewhere in the middle of all that rejection, his life expanded instead of shrinking. And believe it or not, today you know him as Colonel Sanders. Yeah. But the real reason isn't about fried chicken. It's the learning, the lesson that your life can still expand even when the world says it's too late. And maybe that's the reminder some of us all need right now. Because it's not late for any of us. No matter how old you are listening to this episode, you can start anything at any time. I know guys that are 80 that started playing guitar, and they're great at it. So let's talk about how to stop shrinking your life. Let's get practical, because insight without action really isn't going to change anything. So this is the heart of the episode. Number one, you need to tell the truth about where you're playing small. Growth will only begin with honesty. So ask yourself, where am I settling? Where am I silent instead of bold? And where am I choosing comfort over calling? Don't judge yourself too harshly. Just bring out that awareness. Again, ask yourself, where are you settling? Where do you stay quiet instead of speaking up? Where are you choosing comfort? Number two, start to regulate the nervous system. You cannot live big in a chronically anxious body. So there are some simple science-based tools, and that is daily breathing. Go through some breathing exercises to start your day. Go for a walk. Walking is incredibly beneficial to the body physically and mentally. Start strength training. Start taking care of yourself at the gym. Get, a sauna or heat exposure of some kind, and then make sure you're getting that quality 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. Keep your body from being anxious. This will calm your amygdala and activate the prefrontal cortex. And that's the part of you that's capable of courage and vision. Next step is part 3. Take micro courage actions daily. So every day, do one thing that expands you. Speaking more honestly, not sugarcoating your words, trying something new, reaching out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while, reaching out to a stranger on the street with safety, of course, creating, leading, loving more boldly. Small courage, repeated courage will rewire your brain. Rewired brain will create your expanded life. Let's say that again. Small courage, repeated, will rewire your brain. Your rewired brain will give you that expanded life. Stop asking, what if I fail? Start asking, who am I becoming? Because behavior follows identity. You're no longer just surviving at work. You're no longer playing it small. You're no longer waiting for permission. You are becoming a leader of your life. You are becoming a better leader for others. And when identity changes, life follows. Here's another story that always stays with me and one of the most inspirational people of my life. Early in her career, Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't even fit for television. She was too emotional. She was too different. She had a funny name. She wasn't what they were looking for. But moments like that make a lot of people shrink away for good. But instead of becoming less of herself, she became more. She leaned into empathy, into connection, into truth. And that decision didn't just change her life. It changed millions of others, which reminds me of something simple for you. The parts of you the world once rejected might be the very parts meant to change your life. And so I want to review that with you again. Number one, tell the truth about where you're playing small. Growth begins with honesty. Number two, regulate your nervous system. And that could be just through daily breathing exercises, going for a walk like we talked about, and getting better sleep at night. Take micro courageous actions daily. Repeated courage rewires your brain. Your rewired brain expands your life, and then upgrade your identity. Stop asking if you're going to fail and start asking, who am I now becoming? Here is your leadership edge for the episode. Shrinking leaders create shrinking teams, shrinking families, and shrinking futures. But expanding leaders give other people permission to rise. So when you speak boldly, you live intentionally, you pursue growth, you protect your energy, and you love fully, you silently tell everyone around you, you're allowed to live big too. That's leadership, not position, but expansion. And this is your call to arms for the episode. I want to challenge you this week to pick one area of your life where you've been shrinking and take one bold action. Don't do 10 things, just one. One honest conversation, one courageous decision, one step toward the life you actually dream of. And so here are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Where in my life am I choosing comfort instead of growth? What dream have I quietly talked myself out of? Am I living by my true values or by other people's expectations? What would I do differently if I wasn't afraid of failing or being judged? Have I mistaken stability for fulfillment? Where have I become smaller just to keep the peace or fit in? I think that's a big one for a lot of people. Am I still becoming or am I slowly coasting? What part of me is asking for expansion that I keep ignoring? And if nothing changed for the next 5 years, would I feel proud or regretful? So I'm asking you, what is one bold step you can start today that your future self is going to be grateful for? Take a breath and sit with those for a moment, because the goal isn't guilt here, it's awareness. And awareness is where expansion begins. Your life doesn't shrink all at once. It shrinks quietly over time, one safe decision over and over. But the opposite is also true. A life expands one brave choice at a time. Listen, if you take anything away from this podcast episode, is you were never meant to live a small life. Let me say it again. You listening, you were never meant to live a small life. So stop shrinking and start becoming. Because today, you might be starting the most powerful chapter of your life yet. All right, so that is my episode. I hope this impacted you for the better. And please, if you can leave me a rating or review on whatever platform you hear me on, that would be amazing. I would be grateful. And please hit subscribe so you don't miss another episode of the Leading Life Podcast. Your life is allowed to be big. So keep leading your life. And until next time, I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you are meant to be. But most importantly, let's work together to change the world for the better by going out and being the hero of somebody's story today. Thanks for listening. I will talk to you more soon, and I can't wait to jump into the next episode with you. Take care. Be the hero. Bye. I'm glad you're still here because I wanted to add one more thought to this, and that is, why do we allow ourselves or make ourselves believe we don't deserve more? And I think that's a really great question to ask yourself, because I think that life sort of puts us in boxes. And it's not our fault. It's not the world's fault. We just allow ourselves to be placed into them. And then we get used to it. I don't want you to do that. I've said it before on the podcast. Steve Harvey has this really great saying, and that is, the dreams in your head are a preview of coming attractions. Talk about somebody who was persistent and was living in his car, dead broke, but made it. Kept working for that one opportunity and he got it. The visions in your mind, the dreams in your head are previews of coming attractions. Do not allow life and yourself to play it small anymore. I appreciate you. I care about you. Talk soon. Bye.